Welcome. This short video is going to be all about the fuel of oxygen. Okay. Oxygen is our financial literacy, and it's making sure that you feel like you have enough money to not be stressed, to not worry, right? And so this is going to be the foundational pieces that every one of you and every one of us needs to be an successful adult navigating life. Money is a part of our life, whether we like it or not. So today's learning objective in this about 10-minute video is I know how to apply 5 foundational money habits to grow lasting wealth. Okay. And this is our fuel oxygen. So the 5 ways or pieces we're going to go over today to really feel like you know your worth. Okay. That is step 1, but it's also the big picture, the big concept of understanding money, how much goes in and out. To have a concept of what your worth is, and mindset work of being kind to yourself and feeling worthy and pushing against society's messages that teachers shouldn't make any money because you deserve it. And I'm glad that you're here watching this video. So we're going to talk about knowing your worth, building an emergency fund, categorizing, the 50-30-20 budgeting tool, and then investing. Okay. And these are the 5 keys that are going to give you the foundational pieces that you need and you really use over your life. So the first one that we're going to discuss today is knowing your worth, because you know, your teachers, you can't grow what you don't know. Right? You can't just hope it's going to happen. You actually need to use data and make goals for the future and then work towards them, learn things like this, right? So the tool that you are going to be introduced to in this, short video and exercise that follows is a tracking tool. Okay. It's basically tracking data. You understand this stuff as educators very well. But first let's talk about what knowing your worth means. Okay. Like I said earlier, it's really what's coming in and out, and then stopping and noticing patterns. And again, without shame. So, being kind to yourself. And seeing your money as a reflection of your values. What are you really spending on? Do you value that thing, or should you try to not spend so much there and spend more here? Do you need to pick up a summer side gig and kind of work towards that dream to make some more money so you can spend more where your values are? And then, like I've already said, is just feeling worthy. It's so, so important. Tracking matters, and how it gets you to your worth is that it helps you understand and conceptualize where your money is going. So looking at each expense, looking at each income, each month, how much did things cost? That is the concept of knowing your worth, and therefore reducing stress and not so much worry about, will you have enough? What if there's an emergency? You're going to be building an emergency fund, so that way you can sleep at night, as I'll say in a little bit here. And then what's going to happen after this short video is that you are going to get a choice board of ways to explore these 5 areas further. Obviously, you're adults, and this is a big topic I'm diving into here. There'd be one course after basically each of these 5 areas is where I'm going and working on it now from there. But you're going to have lots of opportunities. So the way so that you can track is a budget tracker or spreadsheet, and those will be on the choice board for you to check out. There's a million different ways you can do it. I use an app called Monarch Money. And I hook my bank accounts and credit cards and investment accounts to it, and it tracks for me. And then I go in and I categorize and I make a budget off of there. And that's how I like to manage my money. Some people like to write it down, pencil and paper and a notebook, and any way you want to do it, it's fine. But it's important that you're doing it, that you are starting to know your worth. So step 1 is to know your worth by tracking. If you need to pause the video at any time and write down some notes, please do so. Okay. Step 2 is building an emergency fund. Okay. We need to sleep well, knowing an emergency will happen. We just don't know when. Emergencies happen of all levels. We recently had to get a new water heater, $3,000, right? So having an emergency fund gives you so much peace of mind. It is truly a learning, a low-hanging fruit, let's say, for peace of mind, if that's what you're trying to accomplish by becoming financially literate. So, which I highly recommend, by the way. The tool we're going to talk about is a high yield savings account, HYSA, and it's just a bank account, a liquid bank account, but it has a high yield, a high interest rate on it. So they fluctuate and move around with interest rates, but 3 to 5%. And the quote here is, if your cash is sitting, it might as well be earning, right? So your emergency fund should be in cash because you don't know when you're going to access it and you want to be able to get it right away. And so it might as well be earning a little bit of interest. So what is an emergency fund? Why would I want to open one and start one? It really gives you a buffer between you and the crisis. Crises are hard enough, and then figuring out the financial piece is really hard if you're not planned for it. Confidence to handle those things, knowing they're going to come and not feeling stressed, but I have the money set aside for it. And then that sense of calm that you gain when you get control and start an emergency fund. Okay, so like I said, it's a high yield savings account is where I recommend, but you can put these anywhere, but your typical savings account is going to earn 0.05% interest. So I recommend you set aside a whole nother bank account that's a high yield savings account. Go on to NerdWallet. They're a great resource to research things, and they'll do some comparisons for you. But put the money in there, and it's just an emergency fund. You can take it out when you need it, and then you can rebuild it as needed as well. 3 to 6 months is recommended. We'll go into that more in the practice, and there's some look-fors. Okay, number 3. Actually, I'm going to have you pause the video right now, and after I stop talking, and think about numbers 1 and 2. So we've done Know Your Worth, and we've done an emergency savings. Jot just one sentence note if you haven't jotted any notes about one of those two, or just list those two. Know your worth and emergency savings. Okay, number 3 is now you're tracking your money. You've got some money set aside for an emergency fund, and or you have a plan that you're going to put money aside every month into that fund. So now it's time to reflect and start planning your spending. And we do that through categorization. Okay. And the tool we're going to use is really that reflection of our categories. So it's interesting. This is interesting. Most people don't overspend. They underplan. Okay. So you're going to make a plan right now by looking at your categories and reflecting. That's step 3. And then your money will go to where you want it to go much better, rather than just, thoughtless swiping or even tapping. It gives you clarity on what actually matters to you. You can do that alignment work, and it's just easier to live with intention. Okay, so in the practice opportunities, you'll have some opportunities again to look at budgeting apps, tracking apps. Monarch Money is the one I mentioned earlier that I use, but whatever tool you're using to track your money and budget, if you do so, that's the tool you want to reflect on. Okay. Number 4 is the 50-30-20 budgeting tool. And this is a tool that helps you build future savings, the 20%. Okay. And this is a simple formula that helps you see where your money is going. I like to do this every 6 months. Or so, just it's a high level overview of all your money and your budgeting. So the rule of thumb is 50% goes of your money that you spend every month goes to your needs, 30% to your wants, and then 20% to your financial goals. So this is the one you want to, if you're on the FIRE movement, for example, you want to increase your 20% financial goals. If you're only at 5% savings or at 0% savings, that's okay. You're starting today, and you can change that step by step. And so you'll get to explore some of the tools with this 50-30-20 budgeting as well. Okay. And last, but certainly not least, investing. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the investing in a couch potato way, and you can do some exploration during the practice time on that as well. And the tool is low cost index funds. You don't have to hustle, but your money can. Learned everything I know about index funds from Andrew Hallam, best-selling author of Balance and Millionaire Teacher and Expatriate Millionaire, I think it's called. Amazing friend, guy that really developed this idea through his research about these 4 fuels that I'm sharing with you today. So investing in low fee index funds lets your money grow pretty passively, and you don't have to manage it. Okay. So the opposite of index funds is actively managed funds, where every day there's movement and people making buys and sales. Okay. And it's not about perfection, which is really awesome. It's really just about consistency and time in the market versus trying to time the market. So timing the market doesn't work because you have to win twice. You have to buy low to win, and you have to sell high to win. Right? So that's gambling, basically, with your money, trying to time the market. But instead, you want time in the market. So over time, it grows consistently, 8 to 10% on average, and paying you back as you sleep, basically. You can set up your investments automated the day after you get paid, which is what I recommend, paying yourself first. And then let the money do the work for you instead of you doing the work for the money. So I use Vanguard, but you can explore some index funds and such in the practice piece as well. So to wrap it up, I'm right at 12 minutes, which I was trying to get closer to 10. We'll see. But to wrap it up, today we talked about the 5 parts. 5 foundational money habits you need to grow lasting wealth: know your worth, emergency fund, categorizing and reflection, the 50-30-20 budgeting tool, and investments in low cost index funds. So next steps for you is to explore on the choice board. Enjoy, and let me know if you have any questions. I'll be hopping around. Ciao.